Welcome back to another episode of Diaries of a Working Couple. My name's Jamie.
And I'm Chris.
And as of this recording, I've only ever been stung by a bee twice in my life.
Okay. Man, you were really getting me with these intros.
I gotta keep you on your toes.
Yeah, very interesting.
If you
Is that going to be a new thing?
I don't know. TBD.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm excited for next time now.
Oh, now I gotta think of a good one for next time.
You signed up for it.
No, I was kind of voluntold by you. We can run the tape back.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, to start this off today, we made another set of cocktails.
We did. Mine is very basic. Mine is strawberry pucker, raspberry Bacardi, and a guava kiwi energy drink that's usually super tart, so I was hoping to make it less tart.
Interesting. I went with the raspberry Bacardi as well. Blue curacao, because I have to have my blue. I put in the watermelon Captain, right? Is it Captain?
Yeah. It is Captain.
And that's rum?
Yes.
Okay, so watermelon, Captain rum. And I put in a little splash of lime juice, and then I filled the rest up with club soda. Each of the liquors, I used one shot of each. So it's 3 shots in this drink.
I just eyeballed it.
I'm trying to be precise because if I like it, then I can recreate it again.
I don't care that much, where I'll just eyeball it and pray for the best.
I have to say, once again, the color of my drink is awesome.
It's more blue than last time.
It's more blue because the raspberry Bacardi is clear and the watermelon
is pink.
Captain is pink, but it's like very like translucent.
Yeah, the strawberry pucker is a lot deeper red versus the pink.
That is pretty good.
Nice.
I think if I had to make a change, I would need a larger cup for mine, but I would do a little bit less of the raspberry Bacardi, and I would put in maybe a tad more of the blue curacao and the watermelon Captain to make this like really, really good. What are you look like you're thinking over there.
That's because I am. Thank you for noticing.
Well, how about you let us know what you were thinking about?
Well, so I just tried mine, and I can't tell if I like it. You know how when you drink alcoholic beverages and they're not so strong that it burns, but you still can kind of taste the alcohol? It's not like the flavor, but like it's hard to explain.
Well, I feel like that's what I'm tasting in this. Like the raspberry Bacardi is really coming through as more of an alcohol taste than the like the raspberry part.
That's where I'm hitting, and it's just odd because that's a similar type of flavor that I get with the energy drink that I used. So I can't tell which one it is, but the raspberry and the strawberry pucker do give it a good like sweetness.
Yeah, interesting. Do we have any strawberry vodka over there?
No.
I feel like the raspberry Bacardi either needs to change in the amount in this drink, or I need to sub it out for a different liquor that's also fruity.
I have some flavor of 3 Olives. I want to say it's watermelon, knowing me. But I do have some pink flavor of 3 Olives under the bar.
We will have to check next time we make cocktails.
Yes. I don't think it's been opened. So.
Cool. Well, this week has been hot. I think every day this week it has been at least 90 degrees, usually peaking around 95 throughout the day.
95 to like 100.
It's been so hot, and I got outside to do a little bit of work today. I got to fix up the deck a little bit. We had a railing that was coming off and some stairs that were falling off.
Our
And
deck was
pretty
just
much
falling apart.
Everything's falling off.
It was
But
trying to detach itself from the house, board by board.
I was only out there for maybe 30 minutes, and I was pouring sweat. Like, I was so gross after I was done.
Can confirm.
Yeah, and I know that, like, a few days ago, we went out and played disc golf on International Disc Golf Day.
You mean yesterday?
Was it yesterday? I always just say the other day, even if it was, like, 3 weeks ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah.
No,
But,
it was yesterday.
yeah, that was so hot, too. Like, we got out at 10?
It was around 10-ish.
10 a.m. Yeah, and it was near 90 within the first few holes that we were out there, and once again pouring sweat.
Yes, that was tough. It was super gross. I couldn't tell you the last time I sweat that much. It was less than exciting to just feel everything like dripping, but it was fun to go out. We went and played Fort Washington, which I haven't played in forever. That was the first place Chris took me to play disc golf.
That was the original course that I would go to, that I was like, this is an official disc golf course. I mean, I used to go to Sedgley in Fairmount Park, which I think that is like one of the first disc golf courses, but I typically play the short tees when I play with Gene, and every hole is less than 200 feet. So it kind of just feels like a chip and putt type of course.
So it sounds like my kind of course.
You would actually really like it there, and the rough isn't too rough. So, like, if you go off the fairway, it's not a terrible situation.
Not like Fort Washington.
Fort Washington, the rough can be very rough. They got a lot of very long grass, a lot of nasty pricker bushes.
Lots and lots of trees to bounce off of, give you bad kicks.
Yeah.
I did lose a disc yesterday.
You did lose a disc. Hopefully we hear back about that disc soon.
I'm going to be so sad if I don't hear back about that disc.
It's okay. We can get another one.
I know, but I like that one. That one was broken in. I had all the dings from all the trees that I've hit in the past.
Yeah, for those of you who don't play disc golf, you carry a bunch of these discs, and they're kind of like somebody carrying irons in golf. They all have a different purpose. And, you know, Jamie was just right in the sweet spot on where she learned how the disc flies in the air and, like, what type of shots she should use it for. And then she lost it.
And then I threw it directly into the woods where there was no path whatsoever.
That was a heck of a shank.
It was. I haven't grip locked like that in a very long time. I think
Yeah.
last time it was when we were at the church across the street and I almost hit a car.
That was scary too. Yeah, we'll have to do a whole episode on disc golf because that's like become a huge part of my life recently in terms of my hobbies.
In terms of him putting holes in walls.
I did throw a disc into the wall and cause some damage. Yeah, so we'll have to do an episode on disc golf. Anything else cool this week that happened to you?
Well, I mean, we went out and saw Karen and Christian.
We did. That was very nice.
So Karen's one of my friends from forever ago. She's my oldest friend, like I've known the longest. We met back in 6th grade, to put it in perspective. And she's getting married in about a month and a half.
Yeah, I
2
think you
months?
mentioned in a previous episode that you went to her wedding shower.
Her bridal
her
shower.
bridal shower.
Yeah, but it was good because I saw her at my shower and our wedding, but I don't think you've actually talked to her other than recently, and you never met Christian before.
I talked to her in passing. Like, she was at the wedding, at
She
our
was.
wedding. And, like, so, like, I've said hi. I never really got to have a conversation with her. I've never had a conversation with her fiance, who has a great name, by the
Yes.
way. He has the same first name as me. So yeah, he's super cool. He's got a lot of interesting stories because he works a really cool job. Just something that you don't typically hear about often, being a CO at a prison.
Yeah.
But
But that was good. We went to this little brewery in middle of nowhere, Maryland. It was called Valhalla Brew Company.
they had some really good beer.
It was delicious. Their beer. Okay, we're gonna rewind. So they had strawberry lemonade cider, which was really good. They had a blueberry lemonade cider that was really good, and they had a bubblegum beer that straight up tasted like bubblegum.
Yeah, I had a problem with that bubblegum beer because I used to always get bubblegum, what is it?
Fluoride.
Fluoride at the dentist when I was a kid. So I tasted it. It definitely tasted like bubblegum. And if that's, they heavily advertised that in the name of the beer. So I would imagine that somebody who's looking for a bubblegum beer would be impressed or really like it. I personally thought that I was at the dentist when I drank it, so I was not a huge fan.
For anyone who is not scarred by the flavor of bubblegum, it is delicious. But if you're looking for something that has a beer taste to it, that's not the one to go with. It's very strong bubblegum. It's not overpowering, but you get a little bit of a hoppy taste. But for the most part, for me, the first sip and the aftertaste is also just very bubblegum, like Hubba Bubba.
Yeah, they had their like IPA that they said was what they were known for. I don't know. I asked
Was
the
that
bartender.
the Hiking Viking?
The Hiking Viking. And that was very good. And according to Chris, he said that the porter was really good too, which was like their other beer that was most popular. But yeah, staff was cool.
They had really
prices
good food.
were on the heftier side for sure. I didn't expect to spend that much at a brewery, but we got a lot of food.
We do. We got 2 appetizers to share between the 4 of us. Plus, we each got a meal. And then Chris had beers. I had mixed drinks the whole time. I had those watermelon crushes.
And I had a watermelon crush too because they were fantastic.
They were delicious. And it was real watermelon that they used.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely tell it had it's not pulp, I guess, or is it pulp?
Yeah, it's pulp, the meaty part of the fruit.
Yeah, so it definitely had some of that floating in it. And I don't like orange juice with pulp in it.
No.
But this is just so light that it didn't affect the drinking experience at all.
It didn't, and it was nice because you got a real watermelon taste. You didn't get the artificial watermelon taste. So
yeah. Another news, my YouTube channel, Print Practical, hit 500 subscribers.
For anyone who doesn't know, Chris has a YouTube channel, Print Practical, where he 3D prints random things to make life easier around the house.
Pretty much. It started off with me just every time I design and print something on my 3D printer, sometimes people, family members, friends, or whatever ask, how did you actually make this? So I started making YouTube videos showing the design process and stuff like that. And, I haven't really done any advertising for it. So all of my subscribers that I gained, other than 5 of them, are all just random people that have subscribed based on watching my videos. So it's kind of cool. It's I was actually going to give up on it recently just because it takes a lot more time to film and edit the videos than I feel like it's worth. But hitting a very, very small milestone like that kind of, I don't know, gave me a little more motivation to try and put out another video or two to see what happens.
Well, you were also very discouraged because I know a lot of what you were making for Print Practical, a lot of the, this is a nozzle you can put on your leaf blower to help with X, Y, and Z. That wasn't really taking off. You weren't getting a lot of good feedback from that. The only like your one main video that you were getting a lot of good feedback on and people really liked was when you had the thermal runaway issue with your one 3D printer.
Yeah, the type of content that I wanted to make is attracting way less people than the content that like I've made on not on accident, but I made content on troubleshooting some issues and some modifications to my printer that like I was already doing it anyway, so I thought that why not share it with people, and those are the videos that were like blowing up. And I don't have a huge interest in pursuing that type of content, so anyway, I just thought I'd mention it. It was an interesting part of the week.
And you got your final grades back.
I got my final grades back, and I officially, as of tomorrow, from when we're recording this, will have my official grade in, and they start processing my degree at that point. So 2 months from tomorrow, I should have a degree in hand.
Now, when is your degree conferred? Is that tomorrow?
They said that it's conferred on the 11th.
On the
I
11th.
think. And
okay.
So that's only, I don't know, 4 days away or something. I don't know what today's date is, but it's like 4 days away, and then 2 months from then is when they say it should be in your hand. I did see on Reddit, I was on the online masters thing for Georgia Tech on Reddit.
On Reddit? They have one of those?
They have a subreddit for that. I mean, come on, it's a computer science program. They're going to have a subreddit for it.
Listen, I don't understand Reddit, okay? Reddit is not my forte.
Yeah, so anyway, I was on the subreddit just seeing, because they don't tell you, Georgia Tech doesn't tell you how long it's going to take for your degree to get sent out. But I was just looking to see if anybody posted about it. And they did. And one woman on Reddit mentioned that the degree that she got was significantly larger than her husband's degree in terms of sizing. So we're going to have to see how big this thing is when it shows up. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to my Drexel degree.
That's what I'm hoping.
But if it's larger than that, then that would be hilarious.
Where are we going to put it?
I don't know, but Jamie's undergrad degree is literally on an 8x10 or 8x11 piece of paper.
I honestly don't even think it meets that 8.5 by 11 standard. I really don't.
It looks so small,
so dinky. But yeah, you put my undergrad degree next to Chris's undergrad degree. It looks like I just graduated high school and he actually did something with his life.
I was going to say my high school degree came in this fancy folder, but it is about the size of an 8x11 like printer piece of paper.
Yeah, and that's how my high school one is.
And
my college one.
Yeah. So anyway, we could probably get into the real content of this episode. There's just a lot of things that happened this week, so
Gotta document it, Snapchat, or it didn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah, so this week we are going to talk about dieting.
Woo.
Yeah, I know this isn't your favorite topic, but I recently have gained a little bit more motivation out of the blue that I want to work on my dieting. I think one reason is because of my acid reflux. It's been getting worse. So I think it's time to change the way I diet a little bit. But to start, my goal is that I'm not going to change anything that I am eating currently. I'm just going to change the portion size.
I mean, that's a good start. I know that you can't out exercise a bad diet. So even just changing portion sizes is good, especially considering how much Cinnamon Toast Crunch you eat in the morning.
I was going to say, so we could talk about what do I eat currently. So when I wake up, I grab the largest bowl that we have for personal consumption in our cabinet, which is, it's pretty large. It's a big cereal bowl. And I fill it up and pile on top Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which I think comes out to about half a box
So
of like the normal size
it
cereal.
it takes him about 3 to 4 days to get through a family size box.
I thought it was like a giant. What was I feel like
The
it
most
wasn't called
recent
family
No.
size.
So normally when I go grocery shopping, you got the regular one, then you have the large size, which is a little bit bigger, and then you have the family size, which is almost two of the regular size boxes. The one that I saw that was the giant box, that was the first time I've seen that.
That's a box designed for me.
It is, but it should not be a box designed for you. It should be a box designed for people that have 5 children in their house that they need to feed.
Yeah, so that's something that I need to change, but for now, going through what I currently eat, yes, I pound a huge bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the morning. Definitely, well over 5 recommended servings of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I don't know if it's well over 5, but definitely like close to 2.5, I think.
Yeah, and then one thing that I don't think I'll ever be able to change, but the doctor would probably recommend changing based on my acid reflux is coffee. I have I don't know, 24 ounce or a 30 ounce Yeti tumbler that I use in the morning to put my iced coffee in, and I drink 2 to 3 of those every morning with iced coffee with vanilla creamer, which is also not good for me.
It is less than ideal to use like vanilla creamer, but you're not using as much of it as other people do. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's like you got to pick your battles.
I know. I feel like I could get myself to drink black coffee. I definitely could.
Did I marry a sociopath?
No, but you got to understand, you acquire a taste for things. Like when you
Black
first tried
coffee?
beer, did you like beer? When you first tried it?
No, and I still don't. I'm still very picky.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time that I ever had like a Coors Light, and I was just like, ugh, this is just disgusting. But you drink, a couple, 5, 10 of those, and you do that every so often in college and stuff, and then now somebody's like, hey, you want a Coors Light? I'm like, heck yeah. And I'll love every taste of that, every last drip.
Will you though? Will you love every taste of
Okay, I
that?
won't love it, but I won't hate it.
You won't. You will tolerate it.
But I acquired a taste over time, so I think that I could do the same with coffee. So anyway, that's my breakfast routine on a typical day. And then moving on to lunchtime. Lunch is a hard meal for me because I feel like if I lived with my parents, they would always have like bread and lunch meat and stuff like that. So
The good stuff.
I would probably eat like a lunch meat sandwich. We don't typically have bread in our house.
We don't have bread because especially with only 2 of us,
It just goes bad after a while.
it goes bad so much faster than we can eat it. So like I'll get bread if we're doing tuna melts, or if specifically I know we need bread for something, but 9 times out of 10 that bread will go bad before we can use the whole loaf.
Yeah,
and
so
it doesn't make sense to have it in the house.
so for lunch, there's typically 2 options. One is that we have leftovers from either something that we ordered out for, like Chinese, or something that was home cooked, like chicken and rice or something. So that's like my first option. You look like you're thinking, or like you look like you were about to say something. So
I was. So I feel like you don't normally actually eat lunch. Like at least when I'm home, you'll snack. But unless I've
snack
been
on what?
cheese sticks when we used to have strawberries and grapes in the fridge, that granola bars.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
even when like at least when I'm home, if I'm not making grilled cheese or something like that to bring up to you, I feel like you're always just kind of grabbing things to snack on and go back up to work.
I do that. I was going to mention snacking after lunch because I feel like I snack even if I do eat lunch. So, yeah, some days I do skip lunch, which I think having inconsistent eating as well could cause issues with your, I don't know, your, what's it called?
Metabolism.
Your metabolism. There we go. Thanks for that. You're so smart.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, so either leftovers or I've been drinking protein shakes, and I still do that at least twice a week now, as long as we have milk. But I do a scoop of protein powder, scoop of PB2, which is just like ground peanuts, and then half milk, half water. And I think our milk is 1% for the most part.
Yep.
So that's what I do for lunch. Dinner, it's just whatever we do for the most part. Like, I rarely get dinner alone.
Yeah, for the most part, you wait until I get home so I can cook dinner. And for that, so like this week every week we do salmon. We'll do salmon and rice one night. I try and do something with chicken. I know tonight we had chicken parm with spaghetti. We were supposed to have it with spaghetti squash, but our oven is not playing nice with us today. So
That was something that I feel like I was going to bring up in the beginning, but yeah, our stupid oven died. Well, I think the baking element of the oven died because
it didn't die because the broiler still works. It's the heating element for baking that does not seem to work.
yeah, which after we're done recording this, or maybe tomorrow, I'll pop the cover off of the heating element to see what's going on there. But it's just typical house crap. Things going wrong every once in a while.
Yeah, but for dinners during the week, we'll do salmon and rice one night. I try and do chicken. We'll try and do something with ground beef and pork. I try and mix it up.
We do a lot of ground turkey too for tacos and stuff.
Oh yeah, we usually do ground turkey. I usually don't get ground beef unless I'm really feeling crazy.
Yeah.
Or we'll do steaks.
Yeah, so generally when you're not home and you tell me to do dinner by myself, I 90% of the time do frozen pizza.
I was just going to say frozen pizza.
They're just so easy. I don't know. It's partially laziness.
And it's really funny because if you weren't here and you said, "Oh, you're on your own for dinner," I would be making like shrimp scampi or something like that. I would do something with seafood where I knew you, because I know you don't like it, but if you're not eating it, I have free reign. So I would likely do something like that. But it's really funny to kind of see the dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. So that's generally what I eat for meals. So let's talk about snacking. I was going to say, because like snacking is a difficult topic for me because I never had a snacking problem when I was in college. When I lived at home with my parents, my mom always kept like cookies and Oreos and stuff just in the pantry, mostly for my dad because he has more control over eating stuff like that. Like he'll grab, 5 Oreos or 4 Oreos or something and go sit down on the couch and eat those, and then he's satisfied, where I'm grabbing like a full sleeve.
And then going back for more because he's still not satisfied.
Man, you dip some Oreos in milk and everything and they're so good. But anyway, like when I was in college, I only could eat what was in my apartment, and I was responsible for the shopping. And the best way to keep yourself from snacking is to not have any snacks in the house at all. So in college, I would have like frozen meals, mac and cheese, hot dogs, any like frozen pizzas. Pretty much everything was like a meal, and I would have no snacks, no cookies, nothing. The only snack that I would maybe have is ice cream because I've always been addicted to having ice cream.
Maybe have, or did you always have ice cream? Like
I
when you would.
most likely had ice cream in my freezer.
Okay.
But I think the best way to stop yourself from snacking is to just not have any snacks in the house.
That's the easiest way to do it if you just snack because food is there.
The thing is, I don't even think about it if it's not there. It's just like sometimes I get bored and I start walking around the house and then I see, oh, we have cookies here or something, and I just make that a stop. I stop by, grab a cookie, keep walking, and then 5 minutes later I'll get bored or something else, and I'll walk back to the kitchen, maybe get some water, grab a cookie, walk away, and it just keeps happening like that. So it's a very difficult thing for me to stop doing.
That's fair. I know for me, snacking and dieting has always been like it's a touchy subject. But I know for me, I just snacking is just it's what I do, and I do it without even noticing. I do it because there's something there, or because I don't have anything else to do with my hands. So I
Do you
try.
think that's kind of like a boredom type thing?
I don't know if it's a boredom thing or if I just need to be more stimulated with something
Maybe
else.
like an anxiety thing.
Well, I already know I eat my feelings. That's not anything new. But even when I'm happy or not stressed out, I'll still snack. And it's when and I can't even say I'm bored, but if I don't have something to do or something additional that will stimulate me, whether it's reading a book or playing games on my phone or doing Sudoku or a crossword or something, I need to have something to do with my hands to keep myself busy. And when I can't do that, that's when I snack.
Yeah, I understand that. I think that, recently you've been doing a lot of reading. And I think that that is a hobby that takes up so much of your time that it has stopped you from snacking significantly.
It does, and that's why I've tried to, and reading comes and goes, but it's difficult for me to find hobbies to pick up because I get bored quickly with them, or I will fixate on it, and then after a week or a month or however long, I just get tired of it. I'm like, don't want to do this anymore. And I flip over to something else. Or I find something that I like to do or I want to try, and then I find out I'm not good at it, and then I don't want to keep doing it. Like when I doodle, I think I have maybe 2 or 3 solid doodles that I do, and that's it. Because if I try and draw anything else, it looks like I drew it with my feet.
I
So
I have like zero artistic bones in my body, so I totally understand what it's like to attempt to draw or doodle and just have it come out like total crap, like a second grader did it, and then I'm just like, ugh.
Oh, and that's what trying to find hobbies or things for me to do to keep me preoccupied helps me stay away from snacking. But I also know when I do things and I don't do them well and I get stressed or I get frustrated about it, I usually get annoyed and I say, "Okay, I'm going to go grab something to eat."
Yeah.
It for me food is a lot more psychological. Like snacking and eating in general is a lot more psychological than me physically needing food, because I could probably get through the day on one solid meal and a bunch of coffee or a bunch of caffeine.
Yeah, unfortunately, your job sometimes requires you to go a long time without food. And I think that that hurts your diet as well because you come into a meal with such like a large amount of hunger that you overeat because you feel that you are very, very hungry. And then after you're done eating, you're like, oof, I feel full.
Yes, because that's the other thing. It's always, I put all this on my plate. I want to eat it all. And so then I eat not until I'm content, but I eat for the sake of eating and the sake of finishing what's on my plate because I like the taste of it, not because I physically need more food because I'm hungry. Like, I'm content, I'm full, but I still want that last piece of garlic bread just because it tastes really freaking good.
Also, your whole family are such fast eaters.
I know.
And I feel like when you were growing up, you had to eat fast to make sure that you got some of the food.
It's just what I'm used to. I don't know why I eat fast. I don't know if eating fast versus eating slow is a nature versus nurture thing.
There's been many times when we go out to dinner with your family or eat dinner with your family, and by the time most of your family is done with their meal, I look down at my plate and I see that I still have half my meal left at least.
Yeah, and I've noticed since you've been pointing it out, I've noticed that whenever we sit and eat with your parents or anything like that, whenever I'm done and your mom's like, "Oh, go get some more," but she barely has eaten anything, and then I get super self-conscious about it because I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I ate way too fast. I shouldn't be eating this fast."
Yeah, if you eat so fast, your mind can't have time to tell your body that you're full.
But that's the thing. For me, it doesn't matter if my mind tells or if my body tells my mind that I'm full and I need to stop. Like I said, if it tastes good, I could be full. I could be absolutely stuffed and still be like, I'll have one more piece or one more bite because I think it tastes good.
Yeah. There's one topic in terms of diet that has that we've talked about in the past, and it really hasn't gone well every time we talk about it.
So you're going to try and talk about it on the podcast? See what happens?
I'm wondering if you want to talk about it or not.
What is it?
You don't know what I'm thinking about?
No, I don't.
What is one thing that you consume that...
Okay, so here's the thing.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Pasta and bread.
Oh, no.
Oh, you always tell me I eat too much pasta and too much bread.
No, but like that is not a great diet. Like when you want to have a snack, you make a bowl of pasta and then throw butter on top of it and then and then toast bread.
Okay, so I don't do the bread. Whenever I do so it's just plain spaghetti with some butter and Parmesan cheese. I don't do bread or anything with it. But for me, it's kind of like a comfort meal. So if I've had a long day, a hard day, I'm just really sick of everything. I come home, there's nothing to eat. We didn't plan on dinner. You already ate dinner. You're going out somewhere. You're not home. I'm just tired. I want something comforting. So it's usually that or mac and cheese. Those are my two go-tos. Those are my like comfort foods.
Oh, it's either pasta or pasta.
Yeah. You got a problem with that, sir?
Yeah. No, that is not what I was thinking about when I brought this up. But what else do you think that you consume that I mentioned?
Soda?
That is what I was going to talk about.
So I don't know. Soda I've tried to stay away from, and it's difficult for me to stay away from. I'm not good at drinking water. That is just how I am.
I love water as long as it's like ice cold. Then I could drink so much water in a day just because I love when it's ice cold.
I love water when it's run through with some ground coffee beans, or
me too.
Or put in with some carbonation and some artificial flavors. Delicious. I love that kind of water.
Soda, I feel like soda is just so unhealthy for so many reasons.
It is, but it's one of those things where when I have a craving for something bubbly and sweet, and I have tried to sub it for seltzer water. I cannot sub it with seltzer water.
What about tea? I know it's not bubbly, but
Tea I can do, but the problem is it can't be unsweetened tea. It has to be sweet tea. And that's the problem.
Sweet tea. I feel like sweet tea is probably better than soda still.
Don't know.
I don't know. I
I
mean,
think
like,
it has a much higher sugar concentration, depending on what tea it is.
Chick-fil-A's sweet tea definitely has more sugar probably than a normal soda.
But even I don't know if I would be able to do tea. I can't even say long term. I know soda, it's one of those things, I know soda's bad for me. And growing up, it was always, okay, you can have soda when we go out to dinner. You can have a Sprite. We were never allowed to have anything with caffeine. Then once we got like into high school, it was like you can have soda, but you can't have soda on game days or practice days whenever you play volleyball or have whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to
going
be
on.
jumping up and down with all the bubblies in your stomach.
Well, and that's the thing. It'll like zap your energy or something like that. You'll get your sugar high, but then you'll crash. And you don't want to crash and then have to go play or practice or something like that.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
And so I stuck with that all through college. And I don't know if that has had any effect on how I consume soda. But I know that I'm not good with fruit flavored drinks. It's very difficult for me to find like a sparkling water where I'm like, ooh, this is delicious. Because and it's gonna sound so weird, the bubbles to me are too sharp in carbonated water, so sparkling water.
We should get a soda stream because then you can control how much CO2 you put in.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. We should find somebody who owns a soda stream and let you try it.
I'm pretty sure Ryan and Jamie have a soda stream.
I think they do too.
I vaguely remember them using it at one of their parties.
Yeah, they use it for mixed drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and it's just I don't know. I would like to be better at drinking water, but unless I am sweating and working out, or like when we were at disc golf this past yesterday, I'll drink water, but if I'm just standing at work or something, I'm not going to reach for water because I'm thirsty and I need water. It's not something I'm going to reach for. It's not something I ever really crave or want to drink.
That's where I guess I get confused. Not really confused, but I just don't understand because I don't have cravings for things, food or sodas or like any type of liquids, except for every once in a while I have a craving for sushi. But other than that, like I never am just like, oh, I would just die to have a Coke right now, or I just never have cravings like that. I just I'm totally fine with just getting water and drinking that, or tea, green tea or sweet tea or unsweet tea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know why I get cravings, but it's like there will be times where I'm like, all I want is X, Y, and Z. And sometimes that craving will go away and I'll be like, no, I don't need that. I am doing X. But there will be times where I'll be like, oh, all I want is this. And literally 3 days later, I'm still just like, all I want is this. And so I can't explain it.
Yeah.
And it's really weird that you don't have cravings.
Like I said, maybe for some types of food, like sushi or steak or something like that, I'll just be like, I haven't had that in a while, and it sounds really good.
But it's not.
But it's not like I need to go get it.
It's not like psychologically you're like, I need that, like an urge for this.
No. No, I don't have that at all.
I'll trade you. Can I have that?
Yeah, so like, what can I do to improve my diet is like what I think we should talk about next. Obviously, not such a huge bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's usually a pretty good place to start.
So so I think this is what I'm gonna try and do, and I'm really curious to see if I lose any weight, because for the last close to a year since like after our wedding, I've been about the same weight, and there's been times where very hardcore exercise was happening, like from the beginning of this year for 3 or 4 months. You know, we were both going to the gym like every day or every other day, and I didn't see any improvements in terms of weight that whole time. And there was plenty of times throughout the year too where no gym at all, minimal outdoor activity, and like diet way out of control, and I'm just still at the same weight. So I think that I'm gonna try and take my current diet, which is not really a diet, you know, like it's not actually a healthy diet, and I'm gonna just tweak the portion size of my diet to see if that'll have any effect on my weight.
And that definitely should, as long as you're not tweaking your portion size from one large bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch to one small bowl, but then you're like, I want another bowl, and you still end up eating the same amount. You know what I mean?
That's the problem. It takes discipline to do it. And I've done this before where I've done, I wouldn't say a cut, but a significant calorie decrease from what I'm like used to. And I would say the first week is the hardest because you just always feel hungry. But eventually your stomach, I don't know if it shrinks or your body just gets used to it, but eventually you get to the point where you just don't feel hungry anymore.
But it also makes a difference because you don't get hangry.
Well, that's a made-up emotion.
Is it, dear?
I've witnessed it, but I think that, I don't know. I don't think that's a...
So when you get hungry, you're like, yeah, I'm hungry, I have a headache, but you just ignore it. If I get hungry and end up with a headache, I get annoyed and frustrated, and every little thing that goes wrong, if I can't just like get through the rest of the day at work or something, I get snappy.
But I think that's just a difference in personality in general, right? Because like take food out of the equation. If you go to put a pan away and something's messed up in the drawer and you can't quite fit it in there, like, to me, that's a very minor inconvenience, and I
is a minor
just
inconvenience.
go and like work through that. But like for you get very frustrated from that.
Yes and no. It depends on the day, because if I have a million other things that aren't going well during the day, great example, earlier today, I went to the grocery store. I had to get dry cleaning. They weren't open, so I couldn't get dry cleaning or drop off the dry cleaning. I went to the grocery store, and I kept thinking I was going to forget something. Then I was talking to my mom, and she kept like complaining about this, that, and the other, and it put me in a bad headspace. And then I came home and I was trying to get everything put away, but then things weren't going right, and the trash can was so overflowing. And then I get to the spaghetti squash that we were supposed to have for dinner tonight, and I couldn't cut it. And then when I was trying to scrape out the seeds and everything on the inside, it wasn't working. And so I was ready to throw that spaghetti squash across the damn kitchen, let it splatter, and be like, fuck it, we're not doing any of this stuff. I'm just gonna order some Chinese food and call it a night, because I was so far done. But it wasn't because of the spaghetti squash. It was because it was just all the little things, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. When it comes to putting a pan away, I don't mind putting the pan away. If it doesn't fit, I'll fix it. But if I get home from grocery shopping, you don't help me bring anything in, I have to put everything away by myself. I have to prep everything. I have to unload the dishwasher so I can reload the dishwasher so I can actually wash off the grapes in the sink. And then the pan that I was going to use for dinner was dirty or whatever, and I had to put it back away or something. Or if it was sitting out on the counter and I had to move it and put it away and it doesn't fit because things weren't put away properly last time the dishwasher was unloaded, then I get frustrated because everything stacks up, and then I get to a breaking point and I say, fuck it, I'm done, and then I start throwing things.
This blew up in my face so hard.
It doesn't start with the pan doesn't fit. It doesn't start with the seeds aren't coming out of the squash. It starts with one thing, and even earlier today, I was getting super frustrated when I hung up with my mom and she was complaining. I was like starting to get like in my head. I was like, no, call Jake. Called my brother because he's very level-headed and he helps me bring me down. But then I start cleaning and start doing other things, and then I get worked back up again. It's never like I try to bring myself down. And so that's...
Okay. Yeah. So
I was going to say, that doesn't have to do with
Okay.
hangry. That's everything else that's going on.
yeah,
You're welcome.
I love you.
I know you do. And this is a peek inside my mind. Isn't it wonderful?
Yeah. See, like I feel like it takes so much more for me to hit like a breaking point that like I've rarely hit a breaking point. There are some times where I just give up on something and I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll deal with it later. But it takes a lot to go wrong for me to have that. And it happens very, very rarely.
And this is something that we can talk about some other time, because I think it's because I have such high expectations of myself and what I want for our house, what I want to be as your wife, as a pharmacist, as a homeowner. And
Yeah, what would be a good topic name for that? Like,
I don't know. We'll shop it.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
We got to get back to food.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That's right. So that started, yeah, how did we even start down that path? Because I know we were starting to talk about what I was going to change.
Well, because you said you were going to just do a hard calorie deficit, like really just cut down. And then after a week,
Yeah.
you're like, first week's the hardest, but you just get through it because you don't have to worry about what happens when you get hungry. Because
Yes. Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, the first week is definitely the hardest. And I don't know. I'm going to try it. I think that I'm going to cut all of my portions down pretty significantly for breakfast. Like, I'm going to stick to, a cup or a cup and a half of cereal, which it should look pretty light in one of our smaller bowls. And I know I'm going to be hungry after that, but I'm just going to have to drink coffee and stick through it until lunchtime, where I'll probably do a protein shake. And then dinner time, I feel like the meals that you make, and sometimes I maybe will make, like steak or something, are relatively healthy. But I think that I'm just going to, try and keep it to lighter portions. Like tonight when we ate dinner, we used our like smaller dining plates, which kind of help you portion a little better because it's kind of a mind trick. It makes you look like you have a very full plate, even though the portion is a lot smaller.
yeah, so when we made our chicken parm tonight, instead of getting a big plate, I had chicken tenders, like little chicken tenderloin strips, instead of the full chicken breast. And so that's what I turned into, like mini chicken parm. So we each had two of the little tenderloins, and I put them on a small plate after they were like, sorry, I just hit the mic. So if you heard that, I'm sorry. But I just put two of those on the plate, and I did some spaghetti with some sauce. But because it was on a smaller plate, the portion that I put on the plate looked like you had an entire plate full of food. And we were both full after it. But I know if we had a bigger plate, I probably would have put either more chicken or more pasta or both on there.
Probably more pasta. I mean, I feel like that was a very good amount of chicken. Like 2 of those was a good amount. And I feel like we probably would have stuck to that with a bigger plate, but more pasta probably would have happened.
Probably.
And I didn't feel like I needed more pasta afterward. I felt like there was enough pasta on the plate to complement the chicken.
Yes, it was What we did tonight was a good portion size for everything. And I believe if we continue using the small plates moving forward, and additionally, I believe we need to add more veggies into our routine, because I try to put them on our plates 2 to 3 nights a week. Doesn't always work out, but I try. And I'm hoping that if I continue just trying to add some more veggies into our diet, it'll help fill us up more and not make us need the extra pasta or that extra helping of mashed potatoes.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be my goal. I will, maybe during, the next few weeks in the banter sessions, I'll bring up, how it's going in terms of cutting down my portions and if I see any weight differences. But I wouldn't expect much in the first month or so because I seem to shed weight pretty slowly.
I know for me, I want to eat better, but for me, it's going to be just snacking less. Eating when I'm hungry versus eating when I need something to do.
Another thing that's like really tough for me is that, well, there's two things. One, when we go out to restaurants and stuff, for some reason, I just feel the need that I have to finish my meal that I get when I'm out. One, probably because it tastes good, but then also, like, I'm like, oh, I only go out, once a month or whatever. I'm going to, like, fully indulge in this. But then I end up feeling super stuffed, and it's probably not good for me. And I should just realize that if I do have a feeling at some point in the future where I want to eat that again, we can just go there and eat it again. Like there's nothing stopping us from going somewhere else or, going somewhere more often.
That is true.
So that I don't have to stuff myself with it.
We are adults with access to cars and adult money. We can go there again.
Yeah. So like that's one thing. And then also the biggest thing I'm going to struggle with, which, it's not going to come up for another 5 or so months, but the holiday season, I just have such a sweet tooth when it comes to like Christmas cookies and stuff. And that is like the worst time for me to even try and diet because, and like I know a diet is a long-term thing, like not just a 6-month thing. So like
it's a lifestyle change. It's a full-on. It's not just a diet. Oh, I'm not gonna eat this for however long. It's a full-on lifestyle change that will affect you long-term and stay with you long-term, and that's not usually how diets are looked upon, which just makes it that much harder when it comes to holiday seasons.
I know. I feel like I have a lot of self-control, but I feel like it's still not strong enough for
I'm glad you do, because I don't.
For the cookie season, it's just not strong enough.
Yeah, but for the most part, we don't make Christmas cookies too much. I made a bunch this past year because I took some in to work. Like I took a whole platter into work and I brought some over to our neighbors and different things like that. But I know since Mom had her kitchen redone, she's going to want to do a lot of the Christmas cookies down at her place, especially because she has the double wall oven.
She's going to make a ton.
But I think what we're going to do is we'll probably pick a weekend and go down and just do all the baking down there. And then I won't have to bring everything back. I'll bring back enough for a couple plates. But it's not like you're going to have 6 batches of chocolate chip cookies just sitting here waiting for you.
I know. And my mom, shout out to my mom. She makes those peanut butter, sugar cookies with the Hershey Kiss pushed into the top of them. I'm a sucker for those, and I will eat all of those within a few days of when I receive them.
And that's the other thing. If you want to work on control or not snacking as much because you don't have it here, just tell her, be like, hey, only send me 6. Don't send me like 4 dozen.
But those are my cookies.
I know they're your favorite, but you were just talking about.
I know. I think that my my idea of not having snacks in the house is a very unrealistic scenario. So
Especially when you live with someone else who does snack.
Yeah, I need to learn how to control myself, and potentially if we have a thing of cookies, maybe I eat one cookie a day.
I've tried to be helpful with that. I am trying to stay away from getting Oreos and those candy coated chocolate cookie, the M&M cookies from Giant. I've tried to stay away from getting snacks that you really like that aren't good for you. That way you don't have the temptation.
I know they have locking cookie jars.
You're not getting a locking cookie jar.
I know, but I was thinking, what if I made my own that like shocks me if I get, more than one cookie?
How would it know it's you versus me? Say
We'll put my cookies in a special jar.
Oh my gosh. I love you. But you're a mess.
I don't know. I feel like that would definitely cause me not to. But then I would just find a way of cheating it. That's the problem. It's never going to work.
Well, luckily we have a little time before the holidays creep up. So let's just take it.
I just got to work on control now, and hopefully my control is stronger by the time cookie season comes.
Or the other option is we find someone who's just really bad at making cookies, give you a couple of theirs. You will never want cookies ever again. Because instead of putting a cup of sugar in it, they put a cup of salt in or something like that. I
don't know. That would be pretty terrible, though. Like a super salty cookie would be gross. Anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about in terms of dieting?
No, I know for me, I know I haven't really talked about my own personal habits this episode. For me, like I said, it's just a lot of snacking and just trying to focus on not eating out, not ordering food when I'm out running errands, not stopping and grabbing a Coke, just kind of leave the house with what you need and go from there. And I'm a snacker, and I've noticed I use food as like a reward system for myself, which is not a good way to look at food. So for me, it's just a lot of trying to retrain all of my habits. And I think for me, it's going to be a lot of don't eat if you're not hungry. And if you don't get hungry till 3 or 4 o'clock, don't eat a full meal, because by the time you get home and make dinner, you're going to have another full meal. So just snack or eat something that's lighter but still nutritious versus like a bag of chips or something.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know how much you actually wanted to talk about this on a podcast episode. I know I brought it up because I think that it's a way for me to put something like quote unquote on paper, so that it kind of like reminds me that like, I said that I was going to do this. So then hopefully
it's more to hold yourself accountable. And I totally understand that. But I know for me, a lot of my exercise habits and my diet habits are linked to like my mind, like psychology for me. For me, it's not like, oh, I need to stop eating as much, so I'm going to do it. Or I should really go to the gym, so I'm going to do it. It's not that easy for me, which like I said, the whole thing earlier, I snack because I don't have anything else to do with my hands. Then that's why it's easier for me to not eat at work until 3 or 4 o'clock. I'm checking scripts. I'm giving vaccines. The only times I stop and eat is when I'm starting to get physically shaky or my stomach's rumbling or I get a headache.
Yeah.
Like when I know I have low blood sugar, but this is something else. Like I said, I use food as a reward system. So that just links right back to how I think about food and my relationship with food, which is not a very healthy relationship. And so that's kind of why I brought up when we were talking about topics to listen or to talk about today. He said, "Oh, let's talk about healthy eating and dieting." So I said, "Okay," cuz what I put out there, I was like, we can talk about like mental health stuff, cuz I know for me that's a huge reason behind a lot of what I do. Why I'm so competitive and so hard on myself, and why I throw pans if they don't fit properly in a cabinet, or why I eat or why I do or don't exercise. A lot of it stems from what's going on inside my head, and it's like a whole can of worms. And coming from someone who has dealt with it for a long time and talking to someone who has not had to personally experience it, but may have seen other people experience it, but not really getting the whole gist of it and understanding it, it's a much deeper conversation than I need to cut out some Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah.
So I know that that's something that will likely, whenever we hit that topic, all of that will likely come up, because for me, it's all linked together instead of just, I need to get up and go to the gym, or I should stop eating as much.
Yeah, we will definitely do an episode on mental health, because I think that you're not alone in the stuff that you experience, and I'm sure a lot of other people experience it as well. So we will definitely talk about that soon.
Yeah, we'll get there, but I think we've figured out that we're gonna try and cut down on Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, for like in general, cutting
And
the
cookies.
portions down pretty hard, trying to minimize snacking, and we'll see. I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, now you guys got to keep them accountable, okay?
Yeah,
So,
which reminds me, any good recipes that you have, or any good cocktail recipes that you have, send those to diariesofaworkingcouple@gmail.com.
or hit up our inbox on Instagram. We are at Diaries of a Working Couple.
Yeah.
Any words of encouragement, tips, or anything like that to help us stay away from snacking or help curb cravings, shoot them our way.
Yeah, we'll definitely try any of those methods out or recipes. And potentially, if you send us recipes, we'll probably make them before we record, so that way we can talk about them when we do.
Absolutely.
So I think that wraps up this episode. So we'll see you later.
Bye, guys.